p.m. And at this time, we would like to welcome everyone for the March regular board meeting. And we ask that everyone stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then we are now to item number 1 and item number 2, review of the agenda and adoption of the agenda, which is if you all at the board's discretion would like to add the board member committee appointments.
I say let's take some time to look at it.
Okay, so you just want to wait and add it to the April meeting?
If that's, I mean, if everybody else kind of agrees. Is there a sense of urgency, I guess, where that's concerned? Because I don't care to maybe tack it on at the end and kind of try to read through it, but if not.
I mean, yeah, we could, it would go towards the end anyway.
Okay. Whatever everybody else wants to do, but that's kind of how I feel.
So it's at the discretion of the board.
I'm kind of in favor of that, and in case there's a meeting scheduled between now and the April meeting. I don't know, we don't have the dates on every committee yet.
Brenda, are you meeting monthly?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And there's some, so,
And I
You
mean,
wanna get
technically,
discussed
Brenda's
it.
not even been technically appointed yet, so we really need to get her kind of at least appointed on here.
Do you need a minute to look over it, Brenda, to look at another committee? Because you, 2 committees, correct?
Some people are 2, some are 3.
Okay.
Let's just go ahead and tack it on, and if we decide we need more time, we can always just add it on at another meeting. But if we can get enough to talk about, we'll talk about it tonight.
Do you want to add it on as 11A? We can also take like a 5-minute recess or something like that and let you all look through it.
Would we also be able to add some kind of discussion about, or an update about prom and graduation? Are you going to have anything?
Not tonight, but we can certainly put it on.
Is Mr. Boland here?
Not here.
Zoom? Okay.
I'm not seeing you, unless he's in the overflow room, I'm not
Okay.
seeing you.
I went down there and there wasn't anybody down there.
There's not, okay.
Usually, are you talking about the graduation date? Because I asked about that today.
No, I was just wanting an update on what we're
Okay.
going to do and what's it going to look like, and
Okay.
because I've had quite a few parents ask me, and prom, you know, all the girls have bought their dresses and,
We're looking at having an in-person prom. I put this much out without giving a lot of details, so we can kind of verify some things through the health department on what we're going to be able to do. And we are also looking at an in-person graduation.
in-person graduation and prom.
And prom.
And the dates that we had for prom.
Graduation was the 28th of May.
28th.
Yeah, that doesn't need to change at this
No,
point.
and then prom was scheduled for April 24th.
That date I don't have it.
It was on.
24th,
Was it
Saturday.
24th?
Yeah, right. Is that what you still have?
That's what they have scheduled for GRC's.
Okay.
Prom.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we know when we're gonna put anything out on that? They're a little anxious.
We had some conversations this past week about some details, just working out some final details before they really, and they've got a committee of folks together there too, I think, it's working on it at high school. I would expect probably within the next week or so,
Okay.
there would be more details to come out.
Perfect. Thank you.
And the graduation, of course, you guys set the graduation, we've talked about that several times, it'll be 28th unless something changes, that's when the graduation would be. And then the prom, I'd like for them to kind of set some other stuff up on that, so, and then we'll report it to you guys.
But on graduation, you think that families are gonna be able to come?
That's the plan. Now, there's still.
Are you limiting tickets for
Well,
them?
that's still what, that limited number of tickets is growing a little bit as we get further down the road, that number that can attend. So it's a conversation now, is it gonna be an indoor or an outdoor graduation? Of course, outdoor, you have a lot more people there. Probably wouldn't need to be near the need to limit tickets in the
Right.
outdoor that there would in an indoor graduation. So that's kind of the conversation with that right now.
Well, I know last year we talked about the mat, you know,
Yeah.
would there still be time to purchase that or rent it?
Rent it, we're looking at stage rentals and everything, I already got stage on hold, so it'll go inside or outside. And so, we've not done anything on a mat yet. We have a covering, now the mat we were talking about was for on the field last year.
Right,
We've,
for the stage.
we've got another arrangement where you won't have to be on the field, you won't need near the matting that you needed, the way we were talking about setting up the way we used to have it, where it's facing the goal post. We're looking at setting it up different, so the folks would be sitting in the home bleachers, and we'd be sitting behind the students that are graduating. You'd be facing the stage from the bleachers, and the kids would be facing the stage, but the parents and guests would be seated behind those students. We're working on a layout where you're not out on the field as much as we were planning on last time, so you kind of eliminate the need for that mat. In the gym, we have the mats to cover the floor in the gym already, so we're set to go that way.
Okay,
And we're working on the stage and the chairs.
good. That's
Phoenix
exciting.
is looking at doing ours at a different time, so we don't take away from the number of GRC kids and parents that can attend.
Phoenix is wanting to do at a different time?
Try to do,
We're
we're talking about that, so that way GRC kids could have more people there. That would take, you know, my students and their parents wouldn't be counted in that number of available to attend.
How
Y'all
many
would
do
be
you
invited,
have?
Just to say.
How many do you have this year?
We're gonna have around 28.
Oh, good,
Mhm.
that's exciting.
Is there any way we can get some documentation on that sooner rather than later? And if he's going to need something ordered, I mean, I'm kinda like Sherry, we need to get going on that, 'cause we are coming up on April.
Now we're back in, I'll kind of hit him up on it tomorrow, I'll go ahead and kind of sit down. nail
Yeah,
some things.
especially for prom, I mean, if something's gotta be ordered in there, I don't know what his plan is.
We've got everything to do with prom, we've done those in the past, we've got that.
Right.
Other than the decorations that they use with that.
Well, at one time I had heard it was gonna be outside, so, I mean, that was what was kinda going through the rumor mill.
Hear a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, if that's what I'm saying, if it was gonna be outside, I didn't know what was gonna be.
I will work with him tomorrow and I'll try to get something a little more firmed up and get it to you, I'll just do it.
Okay,
Text message.
thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion that we, add board member committee appointments as item 11A.
Oh, thank you. I'll second that. All right, all those, or is there a third board member that would, I just need third board members, right?
Oh,
Okay,
they were,
okay. So with that being said, so it'll be 11A. All right, so do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Could I make one other request?
Yeah.
Items 9 and 10,
Uh-huh.
I would really like for us to be able to schedule a work session on those before we do an approval. And I may be the only one, I don't,
no, I mean, I would like to too, just because I don't really know anything about it. And so I feel like I can't make an informed decision really until I know more.
All I would ask is if you do a work session, I've been wanting one for a long time, if you decide to do that, let's schedule one right now while we're sitting here. Let's schedule it so we can get this.
Yeah.
Fine by me.
I don't see why we can't discuss these tonight. We have
There's-
people here to discuss it, don't we? I mean, any questions we might have, we can discuss it tonight.
And then table and move
And
on.
then if we don't feel
I don't
comfortable,
care to hear them out at
yeah,
all.
and if you don't feel comfortable, table it.
Yeah, but I don't wanna, I would rather table it and have a work session and then maybe bring the issue back up, but I don't care to listen to anybody, I think that's great, but, as far as making, feeling comfortable making a decision tonight, I need to dig a little deeper probably.
Is that, I mean, cause you had some
Yeah, I
things you
think-
wanted everybody to kinda consider anyway, so we can always have a work session too.
Yeah, okay, do we need to schedule the work session now?
Well,
Or
now,
do we
once
need
you
to
get
adopt?
to it, if we're gonna leave it on there, then somebody can make a motion to table it, then schedule it,
Okay,
if that's okay. What's your,
I kind of would like a work session. I know a little bit about the facilities plan, but I didn't get it until, this weekend. And I have some questions about the properties,
How,
you know. I
ask
mean,
this, can we leave it on? Let's do the discussion, and from there, if you, at that time, we'll schedule a work
To
session.
make a
That's fine.
$98 decision tonight.
right, yeah, I mean, that's why.
We haven't
We're gonna
really
present you with a lot of
discussed-
stuff that you can be thinking
We
about
haven't
even before a
discussed
work
it.
session.
that's fine with me.
Yeah, because I mean, even if there's something that if you see you don't like, it may have to go back to facility planning. I mean, there's a lot of, this may not be a $9 million decision tonight.
I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have thought we would have talked about it maybe, I know I'm a new member since January, but it seems like we would have mentioned it. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's on the agenda.
Just kinda,
Well, the board had approved
The
forgot the
facilities.
facilities. And so this
When
was
was
the
that
next step.
approved?
I'm not sure when that was.
November, December.
November, December. Okay.
So,
I mean, I'm fine, but
yeah. I mean, if we are you okay with just leaving it, and then if you feel the need, we can table it?
Because I've got a lot of questions. I've got questions.
you got
too.
questions too?
I've got questions, but
Well,
not,
I think if
I'm
we're gonna
not,
make a
I'm not looking for a work session, but I just had some questions on it.
I think if we're gonna have a work session, it'd probably benefit for us to hear what they have to say.
Okay. Is that okay,
Yeah,
Sherry, since it was
that's
your
fine.
request?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna leave those on.
Okay.
As is for right now. Anything else? If not, would anybody like to make a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion by Mr. Tobey,
A second.
second by Ms. Considine. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item number 3, approval of minutes for Clark County District Finance Corporation, February 16, 2021 meeting, February 16, 2021 regular meeting, and March 2nd, 2021 special meeting. Do we wanna do those all at once, or do you all wanna? Is everybody okay with the minutes?
I thought the minutes were fine.
Okay.
I'm trying to get my technology working. Get for being late.
It happens.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion
As
by
stands.
Ms. Considine,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Hendricks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Student and staff recognition.
None for tonight, we'll have one in April for that.
Okay.
In my updates, you see a couple recognitions, but getting them to come in on this first night was.
Okay. Public comments, we have one, Miss Allison Fuller. Hello.
I'm here on behalf of the preschool. My name's Allison Fuller. I'm a mom of 4 boys plus a bonus child, my nephew. 4 of 5, I can't breathe. 4 of the 5 were enrolled in Clark County Public Schools. I thought long and hard on what I wanted to talk about this evening. I could throw statistics and how early childhood education is important, but as members of the board, that's something you know is important. Tonight, I decided I would speak to you about my own child's needs. The needs that can't be met due to the limited space of an old elementary school that I, my mom, and many others attended. Hayden McClure was an amazing school when I attended in the early 90s. The long steep halls that we all love to run down, the open windows, because that's how we got fresh air, the little bathrooms with not much space, which back then we thought was great because the teachers couldn't pile in there with you. I can still tell you every teacher I had in that school, every room I attended class in, and even which office was my favorite principal. Fast forward 20 years and let's be honest, it doesn't have the ventilation, the space, or the amenities that other schools are lucky enough to have. I started using the public preschool in early 2018 for my nephew Elijah. Elijah wasn't born to the best situation, so my mom and I share custody of him. The preschool is one of the biggest reasons he is where he is today. The teachers and staff have worked so hard to get him through a lot of his tough days. Without them, he for sure wouldn't have accomplished what he has. Today, March 15th, 2021, I stand here for my 3.5-year-old child, Cohen. And I brought you a picture because he would have terrorized your entire meeting. Cohen was in First Steps during the pandemic, 3 weeks prior to his enrollment being complete with the public preschool. First Steps, which is another federally funded program, withdrew him because he could not sit in front of a Zoom meeting on a computer through the entire pandemic. You're not gonna get it, no 2-year-old. Frantically, I tried to do everything I could as his mom and his protector to get him into the school I had waited for so that he could continue his speech therapy he desperately needs. Today, we sit on a waiting list at 3 because it's very hard to qualify to get into the preschool at that age. We have reapplied for next school year, but because we'll still be 3 when the school year starts, I do not know when he will be able to start. Cohen is my last child to enter the Clark County Public School System. I have come before the board to speak up for my teen with an IEP who was struggling with virtual learning to the point we had both given up. I spoke up for him, and the outreach afterwards from the board and RDC was amazing. Now again, I stand to speak up for my children. I need your assistance to get this approval so that these teachers and staff at the preschool can have a new building, the amenities, the space, a playground without a street crossing, bathrooms that have adequate space for a teacher to help a small child, hallways that any child can go up and down safely, and better overall ventilation. With the approval of this new building, no child in Clark County would have to sit on a waiting list with unanswered questions as to when their child will be given the proper early education that they need. Between the ages of 3 and 5, it can make it or break it in their life. I sit wondering because I had to give my other children attention to try and make it through virtual learning. Have I let my littlest one down? Did I fail because I didn't have my head in the game to push harder to get him into public preschool? These teachers and preschool staff are the early education for so many children in Clark County. We have an amazing state-of-the-art sports complex, but without early education and then the wonderful preschool staff on your payroll, will the children ever be smart enough to keep the grades needed to even play? I ask that the preschool building be approved ASAP, that I can not only get my child, but children in the child care center I'm a director at, the early education and other programs offered through public school. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. We are on item number 4, state and district updates. Paul Christie.
I sent those out to you earlier. It's got a lot of stuff in there from a lot of different folks. I have 2 or 3 other things that, the updates today was our actual first day of back in-person school. It's kind of like a lot happening today, so I've got some others that I want to mention to you real quick, and I'll take any questions. And I've got some pass out, if you would, Brian, pass those around on here, but there's 2 pages, I think. There should be separated out there. I want to also mention, add to the updates, that the tomorrow morning at 10:15. All the principals, everyone's watching central office. There will be a statewide tornado drill, so we'll be observing that at all of our schools. So that's at 10:15 a.m. tomorrow. Secondly, the summer work list that comes to you all usually in April, May, usually. That's usually May, a lot of times we get it to you. I think we're gonna have some things to you at the April meeting. That list is now working with principals on that. It's all where we've got our district needs list, principals list everything that they need down in their buildings. We cover that. Try to make a determination whether that can be covered through our maintenance department or whether that's gonna be a general fund item. So you'll see a lot of things on there, just like you have in the past. It's not so much equipment needs and those kinds of things as it is maintenance and repairs. We've got plans for paint plans, we've got asphalting plans, you'll see what's new this summer, those kinds of things. We keep updating those, but that's one of the principles, and we're in the process of working that, so that'll be at the April 19th meeting. Also, beginning tomorrow, and I apologize for the short notice on this, but we just found out today, beginning at GRC tomorrow, the Office of the State School Security Marshal, DOCJT, they'll be conducting their safe school risk assessment starting at all of our schools. It's going to start with GRC in the morning first thing, and then they'll move to RDC to set some next ones, and on Wednesday, they will be at Concrete and Justice, and from there, I don't have the schedule, they've not given us the schools that they'll be at, in what order they will be after that, but they plan to complete all of our buildings in our district before the end of next week. So those risk assessments are being done over this next 2 weeks. The paper that you just received, that's in my update, you got the list of the blended learning groups. And on this one, that was from Friday. That's what the numbers were at Friday. The one that you have there now, the second page of it, the blended learning groups, that's as of today. So you can see that we took on about 4.5% more in-person students today than what we had on Friday. The number was still continuing to go up. I don't know why, but for some reason, it seemed like the majority of the absences today were from hybrid group B, which means they would normally have been coming back in on Thursday and Friday. But we did a blitz through the newspaper. We did every school website, every school social media site, the district website, the district social media. We did another flyer, that was on Friday. We did that, another flyer that went out on Saturday to all the social media sites and websites, and we did a one call on Monday night. So I don't know how else we can get it out there, but if you look at that, like I said, there's about a 4.5% increase. If you look at the first page that was there on top there, it breaks it down by school. That's what it was in person today. The next to last column on the right, it shows the number of students that were in person in attendance. This is attendance thing. This isn't just on paper. These are ones in seats. And then out in the last column, you can see the percent of their population that was in person, that is back in person. And there it shows the district today at 91.97%. That's not right. I need to go back and relook that. That doesn't sound right. When I said that, that didn't sound right. I guess it would be overall, though. GRC is at 87. As you go down, you'll see each of them. And it lists the percentages that was in attendance today. And we still have our all of our full virtual staff in place. So the virtual learning is going on as it has been all year. Nothing's changing on that, and will continue to go on at the schools as is now. Folks have until to make the change from virtual to in-person until Thursday of this week. And after Thursday of this week, the choice that they make as of Thursday, if they choose to be virtual, then they've made that choice for the remainder of the semester. Any questions on that?
So the first column you have in-person students, that's the amount of in-person students that have signed up to be, that should be coming to school, that did not sign up for virtual, correct? 972 with GRC?
972 should have been in attendance today.
Okay, and then there's 529 that have signed up for virtual learning for GRC? And I'm just using GRC as an example.
Where do you see that?
Next
He's on the
page,
first, he's on the second page.
it's 529 is still want to remain distance learning.
Okay. So the percentage is based upon the amount of students that should have been there today that signed up to be there every day?
Yes.
Okay.
for
And if you
in-person.
look at, on that page that you're referring to, you see at the bottom, we're now at about just under 75% in person and just over 25% virtual.
Mhm.
And it was about 70.2 on Friday, now 74.66 today. So the in-person has gone up 4.5%. I expect to see it probably go up a little bit more over the next couple, 3 days.
So this 91.97,
That's
Is-
of the ones who chose.
that's people in seats today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Overall, was there any hiccups today?
No, it was a really good day. Transportation came off probably better than any first day, a lot better than we had hoped. Of course, the virtual, I think going from all virtual to a hybrid to a now in-person, that's helped because a lot of the routes were kind of established and it just took some kind of tweaking of that. One of the things that could possibly have done was cut out some routes, but instead of cutting routes out, because of the number that's coming back in person, still using all the buses, and that's keeping the kids spread out a little bit more. It allows for more buses for pickup, so I think that helps. All the dismissals were fantastic on time-wise. You know, usually that first week of school, it's a struggle getting kids to the buses and on the buses and loaded and going. But again, once again, I think having the hybrid for the last 2 or 3, 4 weeks has helped because the kids understood the system. That went well. Of course, in the last day or so, even over the weekend, CDC has kind of backed up their guidelines even further and saying if you can't, obviously you can't do the 6 feet, but they're saying 3 feet. If you can maintain 3 feet, that's acceptable. We're able to do that with what we have, able to do more than that in most cases. There could be an occasional classroom that has, we have some classrooms that are almost back, it just happens to be almost back at full capacity, so those are a little bit difficult. Cafeterias, we scheduled those, spread those out. Kids are still eating, for the most part, in the cafeterias. The breakfast, some of the breakfasts are served in their classrooms, but we were doing some of that even prior. I haven't gotten the lunch numbers. I haven't been able to talk to Becky today to get the actual lunch numbers to see where we were, but she's had a plan put together that we've implemented, and there's plans for parents who are students remain all virtual for them to be able to pick up lunches. We're going to be doing boxed lunches for each week, so that plan is going to continue. So lunch and breakfast will be provided for every student, whether they're in person or they're not, for the remainder of the school year. That's in place. Spoke with all those parents that have chosen all virtual, and they made a choice of where they're going to pick it up and how they want to do that. So that's in place. Had no real problems today that came back. You'll see in the updates, we're pleased right now. I was very concerned about the things coming off from Fayette, some of the things, the offerings that some of these other counties were doing. We're in pretty good shape right now with our bus drivers. Our bus drivers have stuck with us. They've been phenomenal the whole time, delivering meals and doing everything, working side by side with the food services doing that. They stuck with us through this whole thing, and right now we're in pretty good position with our bus drivers right now. So we're not in any kind of a shortage. We had 3 new applicants that just so happen to already have CDL certification. That's great when that happens. That's a real quick turnaround to get them back on the road as students. So we're pleased there. I'm not a custodial staff with the hybrid. They've had a schedule, all the restrooms, everything going through those almost hourly, cleaning those and staggering the opening and closing of those for students' use to keep those sanitized. Again, the hybrid helped with that. We've had almost a month of working with students in the building. So a good day for a first day.
Any comments on the thermal imaging in all the
No,
buildings?
it went good everywhere. I talked to every principal today, and with the exception of Ms. Hoffman. I didn't get to talk to her today. But, all the
I
thermal
did.
imaging,
I
nobody
checked on
had any
Ellen.
problem with it. All of them, we checked them all out Friday. They were all functioning as they should. Nobody had any problems with it. We're doing the one check right now. Every student and every staff member's checked as they enter the building. teachers have a plan that if students, once they're in the building, if a student starts to exhibit any illness or any signs of any illness at all, they immediately know what to do and get them to the nurse, and the nursing staff knows what to do and how to handle what the protocol for that is. I will say that we just got, you'll see it probably in the update that I sent you the other night. It doesn't show our quarantines, but we had some positive cases as a result this weekend of some non-school related things, but some athletic events, non-school, and we got some quarantine students. Got a notice just a few minutes ago that 25 new quarantines, 4 positives, so that's a hard hit there. That's the biggest hit we've had, and that was just this evening, so.
25 within the school?
Yeah, these are school kids, you have 4 positives, students, and 25 quarantines. That'll be in the stuff that you get later tonight. Those numbers will show up in that number that you get tonight on your report that I send you each night. And when you have those types of activities, they make their way quickly into the school.
So this brings me to so with hybrid last week, I don't know if this affected them last week or not.
Didn't
Well-
see, we had maybe a few, but of course, the only thing, I guess, when they're in person in school, it's quicker for you to find out that they're either positive or quarantined than it is otherwise. I didn't see a large number. You've been getting the reports each week. You saw last week, the numbers didn't seem to be up from where they
Right, but will this quarantine a teacher? Did we
No,
ever determine
no,
what
no,
the,
well, that's one of the new CDC guidelines for our staff. Any staff member that has been vaccinated and had both shots, and 14 days have passed, which today made the 16th day since our second vaccine, those teachers in those classrooms within the students would not be quarantined.
okay.
So that's,
I knew that was kind of up and down there for a
there
little
wouldn't
bit.
be quarantine. In fact, anyone who's had both shots, if someone in your family, even your immediate family, tests positive, you wouldn't necessarily be quarantined because of that. So those vaccines are huge for our staff. And we've had others, we're still working with the health department, we've had others that have had a change of mind about the vaccine and are now wanting to take it, so we're making arrangements for additional staff who want to get the vaccine to try to get those.
What's the percentage?
It's hard to tell. We think, just from what we can see on ours, it's about 70%, but the problem with that is, we have so many staff that live in other communities, and the shot was available to them sometimes before it was to us. We know of 30 to 40, probably 30 or more that's had it. Didn't get it through us, but they have had it, so we think probably 75%.
I think it's about, probably somewhere around 640 of our staff, and you have to remember, when you count them all up, we're talking about coaches that may have
Yeah.
gotten them somewhere else, or,
Substitutes?
yeah, substitutes that got them somewhere else, they fall into different, and it's a confidentiality thing
They
that you
can't
can
report
really
to
pin
us.
people
Right.
down and ask them, did you get it, did you not get it? I'd love to ask, but.
And the other counties where they may have gotten it has no reporting system to report to this county, so there's absolutely no way to get an accurate number unless somebody just volunteers and says, I got it in Lexington, and we can put that in.
So when someone tests positive in that classroom, at that point, Becky, I guess, asked?
I'm sure she
We
does.
do,
She can
anytime
do
in a
that.
classroom, we're keeping seating charts in every classroom where students are seated, the layouts of the classroom and where the students are seated. And if there's a positive that comes from a classroom, we turn that immediately over to the health department. If it's a bus, we've got videos. We video wherever a student sits on the bus to and from school, and they'll ask for that, to look at that. And
But she can get access to who's been vaccinated, who has not.
I think so. I
She
hope.
can ask,
She
I
can
don't know
ask.
that they have to tell her, but she can ask.
Oh, okay. Okay. Becky, are you doing pickups for lunch tomorrow?
No,
No.
Wednesday.
Just
Wednesday, we're
Wednesday.
doing deliveries, and we're gonna do the all virtual pickups on
For the bulk,
Wednesday.
okay, but nothing tomorrow at all? Okay, for virtual. I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
I thought it was still-
That ended on the 12th.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure I was telling them right, because Paul and I were going in circles today on that. was
I think
confusing
that's what
him.
was in the letter, that's what we had wrote in the letter.
Well, that's the way I took it, that's the way I
Yes.
understood it, so.
Just one other quick thing to throw out there, in athletics right now, our boys and girls, the district tournament has started, the boys played yesterday, and there's a second round of the boys tonight, our boys are off, and the girls start tomorrow night. And they play tomorrow night, and what is tomorrow, Tuesday? They play Tuesday and Wednesday, and the boys final is Thursday, and the girls final's Friday. So those are all played in Paris, not played.
You
There's
wanna
protocol,
comment on-
kind of like college, if there's a positive test, then you're, on your teams, there's real tight protocols on those.
Would you like to comment on, some of the events that we were able to secure?
Oh, yeah,
away
it's
from
in here,
Alta?
we've been, of course, we've been working this for a year, trying to do this, and, KSHA has awarded us, some championship venues, it's in there, it's the State Wrestling Championship, starts March 26th, and it's all day the 27th, up into that night, they really condensed it to get it in there, but it's gonna be at our school, at the state championship. Then on March 13th and 14th, we've got the KSHAA State Cheer Competition. And then on the 16th, we've got the state KSHAA State Dance Championship. And we know, as you know, we've already hosted the State Volleyball Championship, so Clark County is quickly becoming the center for state competition. That may not be a big deal right now in the COVID times, but when we get out of this, those are huge revenues for the school system and the county. Your top wrestling is normally a 2 or 3 day thing. Those folks stay here, they eat 3 meals a day in your town, and a lot of them don't travel, because they're coming from all over the state, and they don't travel back and forth. The same with cheer. I can remember going to the cheer competitions when GRC was in it down in western Kentucky and staying down there. So those are huge. And in time will become even bigger. This will be a boost. This will help us, I think, hosting a state wrestling competition is going to get the wrestling started at GRC. There's been an interest in it, and I think this is going to be a push that kind of puts it over the top and starts a wrestling team for GRC. And to me, the neatest thing is that we were able to plan those here and take them away from Alltech Arena. That's where they were being held in the past, was Alltech.
We're having the girls regional too.
And, yeah, I forgot to mention that, we're gonna be hosting the girls' regional tournament this year. We hosted boys last year, and we've got the girls this year. That's kinda out of the line of rotation, but with the facilities we got. Of course, baseball and softball season's getting ready to start. Softball starts by the end of this month, and baseball starts the 1st of April. Those facilities are pretty much ready to go. We're practicing on them, using indoor facilities. I'm still waiting on y'all want to do a tour. You know, I've got a big tour coming up Friday to take. And Don and I got some information today from another county, another school district that's kind of going through some of the struggles that we went through here 15, 16 years ago. And they've asked to come up and meet with us. And they're going to come up, I'm going to take them on a tour of our facilities. We're going to look at the planning, how we did it, how we programmed, how a lot of things. They're looking at combining a couple of schools. They're going to have to consolidate a couple of high schools. So I'm sure that's one that down the road you'll be reading about in the paper probably. When you consolidate high schools, that's a big deal. But they want to come here and look at what we did and how we went through the consolidation program when we did here 8 years ago. They're coming up, I think Thursday of this week. They're bringing about 6 people from that county.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Paul. We will move on to item number 5. Consider adoption and approval of second reading of the 2021-2022 school calendar. Option 1 from calendar committee.
As you requested, you all would like option 1 placed before you for a second read and the calendar updated to show the dates. August the 18th is first for students. The 17th is for teachers or staff. It will have 86 days in the first semester and 90 in the second, with the last day for students being May 26th and the closing day for staff on May 27th.
I know in years past on the calendar that we've really tried hard to keep those 2 semesters closer together in numbers. Is there a way that we could do that on this calendar?
I believe in the past, we've tried to keep those even for dual credit, high school semester certifications and stuff like that. If you were to look at maybe January the 3rd, that would push a day back, and then you might be able to do August the 17th as first day for students. Because if you do something with one semester, you need to adjust it the next, if you want to stay with 176 days. So if you wanted to work and have students in attendance on January the 3rd, you could either possibly do away with one day of fall break or start the school year earlier.
So we would add a day for January 3rd, so that would give us,
If you didn't do something to the other semester,
yeah,
you would make it less than 176. But you could if that's what you want to decide.
well, I think it'd be important to keep them the 176. Was there a reason why we didn't want to start any earlier? Because I know a couple of those calendars had us starting,
I think one had us on August the 4th-ish, and one had the 10th, I believe, or somewhere in that first or that second week. I think the topic with you all last time, that was in January, so sorry, my memory. We looked at a reentry week for students coming into school was one of the discussions that you all had.
Summer school.
Summer school is on the calendar for, I believe, Greg, tell me if I'm
3
wrong,
weeks.
June the 7th through the 25th, is that correct? Okay.
But we talked about the reason, I think that you ended up talking about a little bit later start, was that saving those front 2 weeks that we could kind of front load and bring some kids maybe in a week or so early. And if you back it up another week, that puts you back at either the 1st of August or end of July. We're trying to keep, because we're going to try to encourage, we're going to have summer school at every building over the summer for 3 weeks. And if you have summer school the entire month of June, and then you start looking, trying to bring some back at the end of July, it's going to be tough. So I think the thought process from the discussion was to delay the start a little bit to give us that first week, at least one of those weeks in August, we can bring kids back in a week earlier. The ones who have the need.
And I think if you took away November the 24th, it would be a horrid attendance day in November.
Probably the most logical option there, if you want to take January 3rd and add one to the 2nd and take one off the first, and you just back up the start to the first day for students be the 17th. And that way you can leave everything else. Same. That's adding. Be adding 2 days.
so that's adding a day.
Adding 2 days, that takes you to 177 days.
Well,
170 days are required for a total of 4,062 minutes.
So if you take January the 3rd as an enrollment day, we would
Take one off.
take, of course, it's going to back up the, well, no, if you're
It
going
doesn't
to
really
add,
The other way.
yeah, if you add the other way, you would take off one at the end, but if you're not going to, so you can make an 87,
But then it's a
and then
91,
you still have 91,
Yeah.
unless you do it more than just one day.
yeah. So we don't think that we can start like on the 12th,
That would-
Thursday the 12th?
That would be totally up to you all.
So that would gain us, so would that be the actual starting date for kids, August 12th?
So if
If
you
you're
were,
just adding some days, you're gonna go from 176.
Yeah.
If you're adding more days in the first semester, you're adding just more days to the school year. You're gonna go above
Well, you could come off
176.
at the end of the
Come off,
year.
right.
But then if you trim off at the end of the year, then you're short, well, then you're shorting that second semester by a couple of days too. So if you take any off at the end of the year, you shorten your second semester by whatever number you go out earlier.
get here now? Like, why are we, why?
Usually, I mean, when I've been on the calendar committee for the past couple of years, we usually try to get it really close. Like, you know, because of the kids that are doing the dual credits. That way they're not,
I mean, we've had it in the past, like this year, of course, don't
Yes.
even look at,
Yeah.
at 75 and 93. But I think in the past, they have, I think the year before was 88 and 88.
yeah.
But it is 4 days. If you want to take one day, we can work it out and I can bring back another calendar for you all. You all just tell me what you want.
So that's, did it not get caught in the calendar committee? I mean, and then we went through the first reading, that's where I'm lost, like, how are we here now
Yeah, oh, got you.
on second reading and
Well,
now?
I think the calendar she brought originally was the one that our group really wanted.
We had 3 different ones.
Right, I knew that.
And, we, if you all had asked what we had thought, we said 2.
And that's not the one
Calendar
you
number
all
2.
picked.
And it was, I believe, 88 and 88. But it's 4 days.
It was
and
what, what'd you say?
88 the first semester and 88 the second, I think. I can't swear to it because I don't have it in front of me. But if
We
you,
looked at option one. and
because it was a later start
It was
date.
a later start because
Right.
of summer school, and we just felt like they might need a couple of weeks at the beginning of August.
We brought up that schools may want to have, I think we talked about, 4th graders going to visit 5th, and then 6th maybe having an orientation at 7th grade, and then 8th and 9th. I remember that
Right,
conversation.
and then Bill said, because it was kind of like starting at the beginning of the week, and you said, could we back it up a day? That's where we lost a day, I think, to get more towards the
Middle of the week start.
86 and 90. We were probably 87 and 89, but we were listening to, you know, the parents and teachers saying a first week is back is hard if you start on a Monday or, you
Yes.
know.
Elementary
Especially for the younger
teachers,
kids.
Yeah.
They didn't like
I
that.
think that's how we got a little
Yeah,
off balance a little bit.
yeah.
I like it. I mean, I know 4 days makes it hard, but, you know, if we're in session.
Not, yeah, don't say that. Don't say
If we're
that.
in session. Who knows? We don't know.
One way of looking at too, your shorter semester, of your 86 days, that's a semester where you're less likely to be missing days due to inclement weather and things. 'Cause most of those bad weather things and those cancellations happens in that second semester, so it gets kind of chopped up a little bit in the second semester.
Will we have days for
Yeah, we have-
snow days?
We have NTI days again. for next
Okay,
year.
so,
Greg and I are gonna work on that application for the NTI, it's
10
now called the
days.
CLD,
oh,
or CLP, I'm sorry, but that's due May 1st.
okay.
You all make the decision and we can work on it again, or you all can vote on it as is, or you can decide to take off for January 3rd.
What do you think your attendance would look like if you put that January 3rd back in?
If you want my honest opinion, I'm not for the January 3rd, they've been out 2 weeks. I think that if anybody was going to have a vacation during that time and see family, they're probably getting back home to get to work. For most parents would go to work. That would be my thought on January 3rd.
But that really doesn't,
Doesn't help what you're looking, I think that helps what you're looking for.
it goes the
86
other
and
way.
90.
Yeah.
So we just need to vote or decide what we're,
Because
I'll
there's
make-
not an easy fix unless you want to back it up to the 12th. That's the only thing I see that would fix it.
Which I really don't, that's not, that's gonna be rough.
Make a motion to adopt the 21-22 calendar year as option one as presented.
Motion by Mr. Tolly,
A second.
second by Ms. Considine. Sorry, Brenda, my brain stopped.
You're fine.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear, sorry.
That's okay, no, it's no big deal. The second calendar you have is just, Mr. Christie and I also wanted to talk to you about the one snow day. The one snow day was on February the 16th, and we do need to make a decision whether you do that today or not, because we are now in June the 1st, to make up that day. You still do have days that can be used, days, so if you want to discuss that now, or if you want to wait, but just so you'll have it, if you don't wanna make a decision tonight.
I figured we would add that back on in the April meeting, because we don't know what's coming. I mean, just to be
Yeah,
sure.
there's, I mean, we're not
Out of the woods.
beyond the possible another day of inclement weather at this point.
Maybe.
So
That was my
It's on the agenda.
That's not gonna affect your graduation, so that's something that could be done at a
Add it
later
to
date.
this regular meeting, but,
Can we add it now if we already adopted the agenda?
yeah, you can amend it. But I mean, to me, you're facing the possibility of going back in April and changing it again.
Yeah.
And you can wait, it was just uploaded with that number 5, just so you can be aware and know that that was the reason that was changed, is because of the one snow day. And 4-H camp week is that week, so you may start getting phone calls, and I didn't want you to be
Yeah.
blindsided.
Starts first week of June.
So that day that you're looking at us coming back is the Tuesday after,
First.
Tuesday, June the 1st would be the last day
After
for students after
Memorial
the
Day.
holiday. Yes, ma'am.
and what do you think attendance would be then?
You talking staff or students?
Probably
Just
not.
kidding. It would be a difficult.
Yeah,
Probably.
So if we were to have another inclement weather, it wouldn't be virtual, is that what you're saying?
No, at this point, I probably would just, I hate with a podium, I can't see.
I know,
everybody.
it's like a.
Means
Well, I have to look under to see Ellen.
We would most likely do virtual,
So we wouldn't be taking a,
probably not.
that's what I'm thinking.
so we could go ahead and take care of
And,
this.
and the reason that we didn't do a virtual this time was because of so much power losses. It
Yes.
just wasn't feasible. to
Because we went
consider
virtual the
even doing
next day.
virtual.
Right.
But
And we were virtual
I
during the
don't-
flood.
Mhm.
you know, of course, you've got other inclement weather, you can have, severe storm days.
Yeah, it could have a
There's
tornado, but we
things that
can't
could
really
happen,
pick
so,
one.
but the plan would be
Flood.
would just be to use virtual from this point out if we have to miss for anything.
Okay. I think personally, it's nice for parents to kind of know, and then if you do have a catastrophe, then they understand that we may have to come back to the table, but at least, that's just me thinking.
It doesn't matter to me either way. That was just in the past, we have done April just to give us time if we have, so we wouldn't, because one year we kept switching it, and that didn't go over well either.
Right.
When you're setting different, so, I mean,
Yeah, I agree. In years past, we've done that, I guess, because, we didn't have virtual
Right.
capabilities, now we do. And I'm okay with adding it and changing it tonight if that's what the board wants to do. Then that way all parents know, you give them a little bit longer time to know and wait till April. We can add it to like item 5A.
Brian, that's your-
amend it.
Since it was
amend
already
5A.
on the agenda for the upload, can they still discuss that?
If they can discuss it, if you want to take action, it just takes a supermajority once the agenda's been adopted, you all can go back in and a supermajority, so 4 out of 5, and you can vote to modify the agenda to allow that discussion to take place, or that vote to take place.
And so have we had discussion about, the fact that we may have some time saved? Or,
You have, you know, and the exact time, Greg, you know what it is, we're how many days over in,
I believe it was either,
Instructional
it was
time.
either, the last time we stopped and figured it up, it was either 5 or 6 full
Yeah.
days. So,
Now, after March the 29th, in the last superintendent webinar, you have 5 days that you can work with after March the 29th. So that's something that they brought up. So if you want to wait, I mean, it's just, you may
Okay.
have a special call meeting, totally up to you all.
do we
Well,
make
it
it some
appears we may
emergency days?
be with, I mean, the work session though, but if we can do a special
Yeah.
call and add that on there.
with the hours that we attend, we have accumulated more than the 1,062 hours, we're about 6 days beyond that. So we're going about 6 days beyond what's required, so if you have made a decision to drop that one, you're certainly within your, well,
Within our-
timeframe to do it.
What do you think?
But you're saying we have to wait till after March 29th?
No, that was just another option.
Oh, gotcha.
I just am saying we're probably gonna have a special meeting coming up anyway, if you wanna add it, special meeting, work session, whatever. So it's whatever you wanna do.
Like we said, we were just afraid you would start getting bombarded with questions because it was moved, so you all would already know about it.
Mhm.
And graduation set for the 28th, correct?
Yes, the 28th, and that's,
And that's not a moving target?
Is that correct, Mr. Tracy?
No, it's down now.
So we address it now, we're talking about the calendar.
This is just this calendar.
Yeah, I mean,
What'd you say?
I said
I
we
can't hear
address, I
with
said
the
we
mask.
address it, I know, it's all right. I said we address it now since we're talking about calendars. And, you know, if we have to come back and make, any changes to it, we can.
do we have a super majority?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
well, there's 3,
four.
Yeah.
Four.
I mean,
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
okay, then we're good. So if y'all wanna go for it, let's go.
So do we need to add that as item 5A, or? is that
Yeah.
what we need to do?
What does it need to be?
5A.
5A.
Leave it to Christie to come up here and just mess with my agenda.
So as of now, May the 28th will be the last day for students once you vote. And of course, closing day is May the 1st.
Moves that to the 1st for teachers, correct?
We just need to make a motion to make,
add it?
we just,
No, we had super majority, right? You don't have to have a motion to add it, right?
No, you all have added it with,
That's majority,
and now you just need to, and you've added it as 5A, now you just need to vote.
whatever you want to do. So do you just?
make a motion that
I'll
the
make
last
a
day of
mo-
school, oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones.
To make a motion for the last day for students for Friday, May 28th,
Okay.
and to waive that snow day. Is that what you need?
Is that how you
No,
want it?
waived is the proper word.
Yeah, waive is not,
I don't think.
I would just leave that part off, make the last day.
You just amend
Just
the
amend
calendar. amend the calendar
to reflect that
last
May
day.
28th is the last day
Last
for
day.
students, and June 1st will be the closing day for teachers.
yeah.
And
So
if
what
anything
Brenda said?
comes up-
Yeah, what she said.
What
If
she
anything
said.
were to come up again, we would obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we were to-
All right, motion by Ms. Richardson. Did you get that, Arlene?
I thought Mr. Topley made the motion.
No, it was Sherry. He started it, Sherry finished it.
Brenda
One
helped.
day.
And Brenda got in there too.
Yeah, then Brenda, it was a
So come
three-person
on.
motion.
I'll have your say.
I'll carry it through. I'll-
And you second, Bill?
I'll say.
Brenda
Constance
second.
second.
Ms. Constance.
We're good. All those in favor say aye.
I still raise my hand because I feel like I'm.
Opposed, motion carries 5 to
But
0.
I didn't catch myself too
I
soon.
don't want to raise my hand.
I'm like, me.
Whew.
Get that.
Item number 6, discussion and approval to extend, I can't read where I wrote over this with that one. Discussion and approval to extend current bond of depository 1 year or bid banking services for a 2-year period. Did I get it right? I've done right over all my stuff, everything else over here.
Okay, so back in February of 2017, we bid our initial banking services we have right now with a 2-year contract and then the option to extend for 3 one-year periods. So we are at the point that we need to extend for 1 year, which is the last extension we have on the current bidding, or do you all want to bid services again at this point?
What's your recommendation, Mr. Kirsty?
We would suggest to stay
The 1 year?
extend again.
Finish out this one, finish out this contract.
Moving banks is a very large process. A lot of places to change information, so.
But you feel comfortable with everything?
We have a wonderful working relationship. I can pick up the phone and call our account representative and get anything done that we need done immediately. So it's a really good relationship with them, so.
So this will be back on the agenda?
No, so if you approve to extend, we will sign a 1-year bond of depository agreement for our next fiscal year that starts July 1 to June 30. And then come this time next year, we will have to bid services because of how we currently have it bid out at the moment.
All right, any
I'll
more?
make a motion to approve the extended current bond for 1 more year.
Motion by Mr. Tolby,
I'll second that motion.
second by Ms. Hendricks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, item number 7, consider approval to award construction contract and associated direct purchase orders to Pierce Blackburn Roofing in the amount of $187,321 for the construction of the Clark County Board of Education office roof replacement project pending KDE approval.
Back in late fall, we came in front of the board and made the board aware of an emergent situation with the roof on this particular building. We were getting some pretty substantial leakage. And as this building has been mitigated over the years, we have 3 layers of foam on the building. So when we were getting water penetration in the top layer, it was going down into bottom layers and we couldn't mitigate that water. So it was laying down there doing whatever, so it became rather urgent. Something else that elevated the urgency was the material on the ceilings in this building. So we came to the board and shared that concern. The board approved for us to pursue a project of re-roofing the building. We hired Ross Tarrant as the architects for the project. Randy's here to represent Ross Tarrant. So we missed the window in late fall to do something before the winter struck, so we had to wait until early spring, where we are now. Recently, the architects designed the documents for bid. We put them out for bid, gave the contractor sufficient time to get on the roofs when the weather kind of changed, and planned the project. We received 9 bids, which you have in your bid tabulation sheets. And the low bid was the one we were looking at, and they withdrew because the agency or the contractor they were going to use for the roof, they were going to subcontract it out, and those folks were not approved by KDE, so they withdrew their bid, which brought us to the next lowest bid, which is the bid that the architects has prepared a statement of recommendation for the board to consider, and that's in your tabulation sheet for Pierce Blackburn Roofing. I'll also note that in the preliminary stages of the bid, the architects estimated that this project would come in at about $250,000. So it came in quite below what the expectation was, about $70,000 below or close to that. So we're rather pleased given the increased construction costs that we've experienced in construction over the COVID crisis. So we're recommending to the board that you consider approving the low bid now with Pierce Blackburn Roofing for $187,321, and that is projected to come from capital outlay funds.
So the total project cost is $224,263.
That's including the contingency if we find something that we need to mitigate beyond what was spec'd, and for the architect's fees. That's correct.
Any of the contingencies that's left goes back into your capital fund and the project.
If we don't find anything else.
This coming out of capital funds, correct, not contingency fund.
That's correct, yeah.
What
What do you
made you
anticipate?
go with this company over the one from Georgetown?
If I may, the one from Georgetown, the DNI bid, which was actually the low number, upon further review of their bid, they listed a manufacturer that was not included in the specifications for the project. And KDE actually requires every manufacturer be listed in the specifications. That's a KDE requirement. And upon notification of that error in their bid, they withdrew their bid.
Okay.
So they were considered non-responsive. So then we went to the second low bidder, which was Pierce Blackburn, reviewed their bid, and everything checked out, and we've written that letter of recommendation to the board. And Pierce Blackburn is a very reputable company. We've done several projects with them in the past, and I have no qualms whatsoever recommending them.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Brenda. I didn't mean to
Oh,
cut you
no,
off.
you're fine. Do you anticipate any problems with KDE's approval?
No, no. We always add that pending KD approval because they have to approve it before we actually fully execute the contract and the direct purchase orders. So that's just a kind of a
Formality.
commonplace thing. And you all are doing direct purchase orders, buying the material directly to save the sales tax savings of one, on those items.
So on the other bids, they're all pretty, within, they're all relatively pretty close. And then there's, two really, and I'm happy the bids came in much lower than anticipated. But, was there any review on, were the other bidders including something that was not included in the Pierce bid?
No, they all were based on the same drawings and the same specifications, so they all included everything that was in the drawings and the specs. In conversations with Pierce Blackburn, they were just very aggressive in their bidding, to put together that number.
Same warranties.
Yeah, same 20-year, no dollar limit warranty on the entire roof, and as Donald mentioned, the project is a complete tear off down to the deck, and then coming back with appropriate levels of insulation to meet the current energy code, which will be actually an improvement over what's there currently.
It's the same roof what we put on GRC,
Yeah.
TPO or
It's
thermoplastic.
Second highest energy user in our district, right now the building is.
Pending approval, when would the construction start?
As soon as the weather window would
Yeah.
allow us, we need a small window of opportunity because they're gonna have to take the entire roof off of this one, so weather would be a determinant as to when they could start, but I would anticipate as soon as the weather would permit.
Yeah. Once we get KD approval, you all approve it, once we get KD approval, we'll be looking for the window of opportunity as far as the weather breaking. So we tried to time it accordingly so that we're bidding it now, getting everything under contract and prepared to go. The contractor can get their material in order and in hand, and then be able to mobilize the job site and start work immediately when the weather breaks.
And how long would it take to replace this roof?
Week.
That might be a little bit.
And a half.
No, the entire project will be finished this summer. It's not a huge amount of roof, and it's pretty wide open, single-story building, so we're not way up in the air with anything. So it'll be a pretty straightforward, and it should be a really quick turnaround.
Will the employees that work here will they be affected in any way?
We'll coordinate that with Donald and his staff to make sure that, we move people around as appropriately if there are any concerns. And, we'll coordinate that between the contractor and the staff here.
one suggestion's been made, once we start removing material, is to ask the staff to park in the church parking lot to consult with those folks to see if they can make that lot available to us for a period of time, so we can get cars off if we can.
I was just thinking if, I mean, the noise and,
Oh, sure.
and, you know, for
Yeah.
work-wise, is it gonna affect their work, and will they need to relocate or do something?
There will be some noise.
Yeah,
Um,
okay. Leave that up to you.
So we've gotten good at virtual, if we have to work virtually for a day. We've gotten pretty good at that.
All right. Any more questions, discussions? And not, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion
Okay.
to approve the construction contract with Pierce Blackburn Roofing.
All right, motion by Ms. Considine,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Richardson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. You're still staying in here, Donald, I'm assuming you're next.
Yeah, we're gonna get in some fun now.
Okay. Item number 8. Consider approval of revised BG1 form, which reflects actual construction amount for the Clark County Board of Education office roof replacement project.
So that form is just a
Why'd you
reflection.
look so confused?
That form is the revised BG one. We had the initial BG one. KDE requires you to come back and revise that BG one based on the actual bid amount that you received and just approved in the previous motion. So that'll actually go to KDE with the bids, so that they can review that revised BG one. And as Mr. Colby recognized, that's the total
That's the total
construction,
cost.
or the total project cost. It has the construction amount, it has the contingencies that's required by KDE, and the other fees that actually create the project cost, which is the total cost for the project. $224,263.
I make a motion to approve item 8 as written.
Motion by Mr. Tovey,
A second.
second by Ms. Considine. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right, Donald, now I think you're ready for the one you thought you were doing.
That's right, that was a good curveball there.
Consider approval BG one for preschool facility, new construction in the amount of $9,300,000.
Okay.
That was a tongue twister.
Yeah. As was previously mentioned, the district facility plan, the new district facility plan was approved the end of last year, and of course, every 4 years, the Kentucky Department of Education requires school districts to develop new facility plans, so you're on four-year cycles. This facility plan the committee consisted of a number of community partners represented across all of our agencies and supports groups in our community, teachers, staff, principals, administrators. It's a 20-member committee that sat down, met a number of times, had some very, very serious conversations. We contracted with KSBA to have a facilitator coordinate that process for us. We went through about 2 months of work and devised a draft plan that went in front of our board and was approved unanimously by our board the end of last year. That plan was approved with level 1 priorities being, there was 2 level 1 priorities, one being constructing a new preschool facility for 350 students with common spaces for 450 students. And the second high priority, number 1 priority, was to construct a wing on GRC to accommodate the Phoenix Academy. So those 2 number 1 priorities were approved by our board. The next step in that process is to construct BG1s for your consideration and approval, and then beyond the BG1 approvals, you look at architects and schematic designs and bidding and things of that nature. One thing I'll kind of distinguish between the preschool and the Phoenix Academy projects is that you have already hired an architect for your preschool a number of years ago. You are actually in phase 3 of your preschool development. Phase 1 was for site acquisition, and I included the BG1 in your packet for consideration. Phase 1 was in 2014, 2015, where we actually acquired the property next to Concrete. The BG1 was called the Clark County Preschool Phase 1 Site Development and Site Acquisition. KD approved that. We purchased the property, developed the road out back so the buses could travel. That was phase 1. Phase 2 was the demo of the building. We demoed the Aero Coats building. The board paid for that. It's roughly $87,000 to demo that. And the reason we demoed that is because we had presentations from architects that told us in the end that there was the existing building, the Aero Coats building, would cost us too much to renovate, and KD would not approve it because we were above that 80% threshold. Anything that costs more than 80% to build a new facility, KD will not approve because it's too expensive to renovate. So when we found that we couldn't renovate that at a reasonable price, we demoed it. That was basically your level 2. Now you're really looking at your phase 3, which would be beginning at that particular site. But now I think Mrs. Considine mentioned wanting to look at different sites, and that's very, very relevant because we have 3 sites that are very practical for developing this center. We have 23 acres across from the gas company out on 60. We have 12 acres behind Strode Station Elementary, and we have 9.5 acres on the site that we purchased based on BG1 for the development of the center. So if we were to approve this BG1 tonight for preschool, then the architects would need to know very soon what site we're looking at, because that would come into play for their schematic design. They can't design a building until they have an idea of where they're going to build that building at. So other than that, I'll say that the KDE's expectations for district facility planning process is that the boards address your level 1 priorities within your first 2 years of the project, your next level priorities in the 3rd and 4th year. So your level 2 priorities and your level 3 priorities include many other buildings in this district like Campbell H Wing and Campbell D Wing, Baker Bleachers, and the list goes on, Shearer HVAC system, Shearer roof. All of these level 2 and level 3 priorities cannot technically be addressed until you address the 2 level 1 priorities that the board approved for your facility plan in, I want to say November or December. Any change to that plan would involve a process, and I'm happy to talk with you about it if that's a conversation you want to have today. So having said that, we have your architects that you've hired for preschool here, and I'm sure Randy would give us any advice for the other project once we get into those discussions as well. But happy to entertain any questions or any directions you want to take us to in discussing this proposal.
So tonight, the request is to approve the BG1, not necessarily finalize everything or necessarily the site. It's just getting the BG1.
That's exactly right. Randy, would you like to?
Yeah, the BG1 document that you just revised for the roof project is basically an initiation document for the project. It's basically establishing the scope of the project, what it is that we're building, and how much funds we have available to construct this, and where those funds are coming from. So you're not necessarily selecting a site. We put together a little diagram that shows the 3 sites that we're at least on the table for conversation. The other thing the BG1 does, this gets submitted to KDE, and it tells KDE that, hey, we're getting ready to build this building, or we're getting ready to consider building this building even, so that they will review that document, and what they will do is actually go back and compare that. Okay, I've got this BG1, I go back and compare that to the district facility plan, and they say, yes, this is a project that is on the district facility plan, it is a priority 1 project, it's appropriate that the board considers this, and then they'll review that. They might have a few comments here and there. They also review the financial information as part of that. Facilities reviews it, and then the Department of Finance reviews it too, to just, check through the numbers and verify the funding sources and so forth. So this is basically initiating the project to move forward.
But just take, for instance, the roofing project that we just approved. We approved the BG1 for that, when was that?
last summer,
Yeah.
late summer, early fall.
Okay, and then you got bids, everything came back, and actually it was lower than what we approved the BG1 for. The BG1 at that point then was revised, and then we just approved the project. We could have denied that project.
Exactly.
You could've-
can-
We could have said,
Stop
no,
that
we're not gonna do
project
it.
Right there.
That's
correct.
right.
You know, so just because right today, I know there was some concern with, before the meeting that, spending $9 million without a work session, kind of go over it. We're not spending that right now. We're just basically saying, let's get this KDE, let's say this is our intent, but we're not picking anyone tonight. We're not picking a vendor or a manufacturer or anything like that. It's just that we're approving this project, but as a district, we're not on the hook for $9 million. Not yet.
That is correct. That is correct. And actually, there are multiple steps along the way that we will be coming back to the board for your all's review and approval. There are basically 3 design phases: schematic design, design development, and construction documents that you all have to review the documentation and approve it at that point. And any of those 3, quite honestly, you all could not approve that. And then when we actually, like the roof project tonight, when we go out to bid, you all would actually review those bid results and be able to give the approval on those bid results or not at that point in time. A project like this, we're talking several months for design to occur.
So the estimate on the BG1 that we have in front of us tonight, is that estimate based upon a certain site?
No, that is not based on the certain site. That is based on the DFP numbers, the district facility plan numbers. KDE prescribes a cost per square foot for a project. So for this project in particular, and they have a formula that they use to create this, but it was basically $243.24 per square foot as a project cost. That's where that 9.3 comes from. And then you see on the second page of the BG1, that's actually broken out on the left-hand column into various items. But basically, you're backing into a total construction cost of $7.84 million on this example form that we have in front of you for your all's review.
But those
that is a
costs are going
prescribed
up.
cost. And yeah, I was gonna qualify that by saying KD didn't update their numbers in 2020 because of the pandemic. They kind of said, well, just use the 2019 numbers still. And so we're still, our cost per square foot are a couple years old. And we all are aware that the construction costs are escalating currently, a lot of which is driven by the material cost that we're seeing shortages in steel and wood and basically all kinds of materials. So 9.3 is the number that is utilized based on the KD cost per square foot for the project. And it's not site specific in any way. In each of those 3 sites, we would have to do a full evaluation depending on what your all's direction was on the adequacy of site utilities, the size of the site relative to the project size. KD has a whole criteria of site selection.
Road access, I mean, there's
Yeah,
just a
road
lot of
access.
factors.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of where I was alluding to, is we got 3 sites, but there's I would assume that the price would be different at certain sites to construct based upon utilities and access and everything else. So-
But the plus is we have land. We don't have to
Yeah.
purchase
Yeah.
land, which is
Yes,
a
absolutely.
big part.
So for the document, the actual district facility plan, do we have the approved one from the Kentucky Board of Education? Because it looks like
Yes.
what we have is a draft.
Well, that's the copy I had, but that's the one that was
That's
approved.
the
by-
approved plan in your
Okay.
packet. That
Yeah,
is
it was approved at the December state board meeting.
Has to be approved by the Kentucky State Board, and they meet every 2 months, so they did theirs in December.
Okay.
And I haven't got a formal copy back, but that's the one they approved.
We got
Without
the letter
revision.
saying that it was approved as written, so that's what you have a copy of in your packet.
As the
is
draft.
approved plan.
Yes.
I mean, the way I look at this, this is just step one of a, I don't know how many steps, 10-step process, okay? We're, and this is just getting going on these projects with really, at this point, until we pick and finalize the final project, this is basically, I hate to say just paperwork, but this is,
Well, this will be officially letting KDE know that our intentions are to follow our district facility plan. This is our first step. We want to initiate and put them on notice essentially that this is what we intend on doing, based on our level one priorities for our facility plan.
and they just have to approve that, or,
They have to
look at
approve
it and make sure it's
Right.
appropriate.
And I'll mention I'm not gonna speak for Lincoln with Ross and Claire, but I think our last briefing with regard to our capacity, our bonding capacity, we were at roughly 15 million, with the expectation that it could very easily be 17 million by June. And then we've just renegotiated some bonds, so I think that's gonna increase that some more. And then you're gonna get more money coming back for the projects that you're closing now with your BG5s into that pot of money that will increase your bonding capacity as well. So I think very conservatively, you're looking at 15 to 17 and possibly even beyond that here very soon.
And I think the work session that was mentioned earlier is very appropriate to really speak about and review the three properties. And schedule that quickly to determine what's appropriate for the district and what's, inappropriate for the preschool. That's my take.
Yeah. Generally, it seems like we usually have someone come and talk to us about our bonding capacity.
They did.
Okay, so it's before all this.
When
Okay,
we
see, I'm
started,
kinda into the
when the
ballgame.
plan was approved and we started talking about this, we had Ross and Claire, Lincoln Pinehart came in. That's what Don was referring to. We've got
These
currently
questions.
And we
15.
definitely have Lincoln.
We can ask them
We
to come
will,
back and
yeah.
give you a review.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Maybe come in during the work session. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the BG one for preschool facility for new construction in an amount of 9.3 million.
You said that a whole lot better than I did.
for KDE approval.
Per KDE approval, thank you. That's not written on here, but that's all right.
All right, motion by Mr. Tolby. I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Nay.
I didn't vote.
Are you abstaining?
No, I haven't decided yet. I know that a new preschool's needed, but I kind of wanted a work session. I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I think it's important that we talk about it in depth, before not that we don't need it, I'm not saying that, or the Phoenix Academy. It's just at our feet and we haven't had any discussion.
Well, I feel like in previous boards we've talked about it. We've had people come in and present to us. This is just the next step with no final commitment on the board.
But it is kind of.
It is a
It's kind of a
commitment.
final.
No, I mean, we can go through this and just like the roof today, we could have said, no, we're not gonna do it for whatever reason. Am I wrong?
You could have said no today to that and it would
Yeah.
have stopped the project.
But I don't want to stop the project.
Well, I don't
I just
either.
want to learn more about it.
Well,
And I know people are aggravated about that, but $9 million is not something I just take lightly. And I mean, to me, when I say a work session, I'd like to hear the bonding capacity. I'd like to know, I'd like to discuss where we were possibly gonna build it, because I do think it will affect the costs. But I don't want to cause it to be sidetracked, but I mean, I think we could do a work session pretty quick
When
and
does,
come
when
back.
does KDE meet again? When does this?
the
meet?
Kentucky board meets every 2 months.
Yeah.
And I think the next one, Randy, do you recall when?
That may be
March,
short.
April, May?
May.
May. I think in May is the next KDE meeting.
Right. So even if we approve it tonight, it's not gonna get approved by KDE until May, correct?
Well, there's
No.
two, the Kentucky School Board,
The DFP is approved and behind us at this point in time. The BG one that you all are considering tonight just would be approved by staff people at KDE, Kentucky Department of Education.
not the board,
Um,
not the Kentucky Board.
Yeah.
It's not going
Because it's not final.
It doesn't have to go
So,
from.
yeah, so you're all, again, the finance department and the facilities department at KD are the two people that would review this.
Okay.
And they would, we could get it submitted and packed pretty quickly, and they'd review it, within a couple of weeks, quite honestly.
But if I could just mention, in order to consider an amendment to your district facility plan, to change it,
Yes.
an amendment is a very elaborate process. You're looking at reconvening in the committee, 20 members, and if you can't find those 20 members anymore, you gotta go through the process of establishing 20 members. They have to meet at least 2 times. They have to have 2 hearings, 2 forums, 1 hearing, and then it has to go again back in front of the Board of Education, the Kentucky Board of Education for approval of the vision, and they made the revision, and they may not even approve that. So you're looking at, if you're looking at changing your district facility plan with an amendment, you're looking at months of delay. Months.
At this point, the earliest it would be on the Kentucky State Board would realistically be August, because you have to submit everything to them 45 days prior. So to even be on the June board meeting, you would have to submit by April the 18th is the last day, and
Yeah.
all those meetings can't happen in that short period of time.
And then you're assuming your committee is gonna change their minds.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's rather elaborate at this point.
My stance is this is just getting the ball rolling. We're not.
Why not? I'm a
That's-
yes vote,
You're a yes vote?
because I had not voted,
Right.
so I'm a yes vote.
Okay. So motion carries 3-2. Okay. All right. Item number 10. Consider approval of BG1 for Phoenix Academy new construction in 850 million. Is that better, Bill?
$1,850,000.
Yeah, there you go. Whew, this is dragging on. Brenda, I'm over here trying to focus on Brenda.
Don't focus on me.
Well, no, keep it up with your, not focus on you.
So everything I said previous.
Previous.
Just to
Ditto.
Ditto with the exception that we're looking at a different facility. And again, that's a level 1 priority on your district facility plan. And it's open for your consideration, and we're here to answer any questions that you might have.
So I do have a question on the facility itself out at the GRC. Will it be, actually, it will be connected to the building? Will it
That's
not?
the plan, to have it connected. Is that correct?
It's by corridor.
By
The
corridor.
vocational school, not the high school proper, but to the vocational.
ATC.
To the ATC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that little diagram that we put together had a couple locations, but the first priority is the location adjacent to the ATC.
Yeah.
And connecting that to that, there's an entry door right there at the top of that step, actually. And that's the ideal location, because that connects directly into the ATC and not to the high school. Now this area does present a little bit of a challenge, because there's a grade change. It slopes from high up against the building down to the parking lot. But that might also be an opportunity to consider a 2-story solution, so a little bit more compact footprint in that area.
Kind of
And
like
this-
a walkout basement type.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly, a walkout basement situation, which actually this whole wing has that condition as far as that walkout basement. It's 2 stories, and then it has a partial basement level, lower level down there. This facility, as part of the district facility plan, was always thought of to be part of this campus. And so the facility that's being proposed is basically the classroom and administration areas for the alternative school, the Phoenix Academy, and then they would share some of the other facilities as far as the common utilities, and they would obviously have access to the rest of the ATC and the high school as well.
And
This
what's
is
the
so
one thing
critical
for
to
the
us.
existing Phoenix Academy, is that just be sold?
That would be up to you.
That's your
Oh, well,
call.
Yeah, I mean, we would
guess it could be
send,
reused maybe for something else, or?
The thing that makes the discussion about Phoenix Academy so important is now that the requirements for graduation for those students is to have a program, and they have to be at the vocational school. We've gone from trying to have a bus driver every 2 hours, taking them out there and bringing them back, to where we bought a vehicle now that somebody on staff now drives them back and forth to the class changes, but for graduation purposes, they've got to have contact with that vocational school.
And it'd
They've
be
got to have it for graduation.
similar.
If you look at the graduation rate, you just, somebody asked me before, how many she's gonna graduate, it's phenomenal whatever Phoenix Academy does for those kids. And that's a big part of what makes our graduation rate one of the highest in the state, is because we're able to take care of those kids. And this is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum from the preschool that we're talking about, but this is the final piece for some of our graduates.
And the same question would need to be asked of the McClure side, what the board would want to do with that property. Of course, we got $150,000 for Fanny Bush, 220 for Providence, 56 for Trapp.
If you recall, all those we sold ourselves. I would highly recommend it when we have a work session, we talk about, when we get to that point, that we put these up with some realtors and get some bids that way. I think that would be much to our advantage to do that, and rather try to sell it ourselves.
Whatever you sold them for, would go back into your general.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve BG one for the Phoenix Academy for new construction, 1.850 million,
See?
1,850,000. On your behalf.
We might need to repeat high school.
Yeah, I was doing it for.
You can this year.
Yeah. Does that have any,
Have 1 year of eligibility left.
statute of limitations on
We
it?
have some virtual openings right now.
It's a mouthful. Did you get it out?
I did.
Okay. Motion
Pending
by,
KD approval.
1,850,000
yeah, did you say pending KD
for
approval?
KDE approved.
All right, motion by Mr. Tobey. I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Maybe, I missed
I
you.
just abstained.
Okay, so motion carries 4-1. Just Megan abstained. All right. Item number 11. Consider approval of board members and superintendent to attend the KSBA 2021 Annual Conference, May 14th through the 16th. That's me. What are you shaking your head no for?
I'm not going.
You're not going?
No. I'm not going.
Ooh.
I'll let Arlene know. I'll let Arlene know. I can't, I've got a conflict.
Okay. Well, anyway, all right. Anybody like to make a motion for the rest of us to attend? Brenda's not attending, so.
We have to have those hours, so I'll make a motion to approve item 11 as written.
Motion by Mr. Tobey. I'll second that. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
On that note, you guys should have a packet. You need to go ahead and choose your classes, so we can get you registered for your classes, coursework. And if you haven't seen Arlene about accommodations, let her know, and that she'll take care of that for you.
Did you get my email, Arlene, about my hours?
No.
I think my hours changed again this year. Can you help me? Because last year we got down there and that was a mess. I don't, okay, thank you. 11A, board member committee appointments. Do y'all need a 5-minute recess to look over this?
No.
You should be good about
I've got one of mine
You're
done.
not new, Sherry.
And I'm gonna stay there.
Okay.
So I have a question on the back page, the College and Career Ready Committee, there's not a committee chair? Who is
Yeah,
committee
I'm sorry, I
chair?
didn't hear you.
College and career.
College and Career Ready Committee?
That's,
Good response.
that's a high school, it's, well, I know who it was, I'm not sure now.
Well, that'll be the one I sign up for. There's no information on it, so I'm gonna sign up for that one. Were you gonna jump on that one? Arm wrestling.
Wasn't that Eric Osborne that maybe ran
It's whoever's the college and career coordinator.
Well, I thought it was last time. Well, I thought I agreed to do it in our last meeting. But
I was
Eric
on just.
Eric Osborne.
Eric Osborne.
Eric Osborne is the committee chair.
Eric Osmond?
Christie,
Yes, ma'am.
wasn't I on district wellness?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought I was, I got taken. Did you kick me off? Cause I got moved off of here.
No,
Love
you may join anything you like.
What'd you say, Ellen?
I love being taken off any committees. Just complain about that.
All right, so college and career ready, who is that now? Who volunteered for that?
I didn't remember the last meeting, but if someone else wants it.
Well, I'm just kidding. Y'all take on there.
All right, Bill, you're already on.
Well, I didn't really want to be on the finance committee again, but
Okay, so you wanna come off finance?
I don't want y'all married.
I think Bill and
It
Sherry
was
both gotta
nothing
come off.
personal.
Isn't that what we decided? You both gotta come off finance?
I don't know.
Cause they only allowed to be on there 2 years?
The way our charter's written is a member's supposed to be on there 1 year or 2 years, but they both been on there 2 years. So
Yeah.
really, I need 2 brand new members, the way our charter's written.
Yeah, so Sherry, you gotta pick something new.
Oh,
And so, and then we need 2 new for budget and finance. All right,
I learned a lot, by the way, on that, so it's good. And I still don't know nearly
It's
what I
hard,
should.
school finance is a beast.
okay, so Bill, you're taking college and career. All right. Sherry, you're staying on calendar, right?
yeah, I think we're done, aren't we, Christie?
What?
We're done on the calendar?
Yes.
Yes.
No wonder she stayed here.
So you've come off of the wellness committee?
No, I stayed on.
Oh, you did stay on.
So,
Are you still on the council of councils?
yeah.
Is that meeting?
Huh?
Does that meet?
Not yet,
It hasn't yet, because it's not started up yet. You trying to kick me off my council too?
No, I just said, is it meeting? I don't recall a meeting.
That's why she
No.
wants to stay
That's why I
on.
asked you.
You ain't got no room to talk with your calendar committee ending.
It's just a tough one to get.
Okay, so we have the health status committee
I'll go on that one.
and the strategic planning committee.
Bill's on it.
Bill's on that.
Well, yeah, and if someone wants to take the ATC, I've been on it for a couple of years. I can remove myself from that.
I can take that one.
You wanna go to that one?
ATC?
Yeah, and then I'll take the health status committee.
Hell,
Brenda's Partners in Education. Bill, are you staying on strategic planning?
Yeah, there's 2, so strategic planning and college career ready.
That's what you're on?
Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if anyone's signed up for budget finance yet.
No. But I don't think we've got Megan on anything.
Well, I mean, give me a second. I'll take 0 out of 5.
You'll take what?
0 out of 5. Oh, maybe that was just an error. Clark County Early Childhood.
That one has, it doesn't exist in its same form anymore, so it just needs to be.
Oh, shoot, you'll take that one.
I will definitely take it. I mean, I'm really trying to get out of finance, but it looks like I don't have a lot of options at this point. So I guess I'll take it.
Okay, so Bill gave up one to, Sherry.
I gave up 2 and then took 2 new ones.
So Megan's going over here.
So you gave up strategic planning, or are you still on there?
No, I gave up ATC and finance.
Sherry picked that up, right?
And Sherry picked that up, and you're on strategic planning, but Clark County didn't, early childhood didn't exist.
It does exist, it exists in a different form.
Okay.
In a different format.
So, district wellness, actually.
And there's no reason why you can't be, there can't be 2 board members on a committee, right?
Well,
Do we have to do a minimum of 2 boards, is that what you were saying earlier?
well, that's what I was looking to see is how many's on what. I think Bill's still got 3.
No, I got 2.
You got 2?
Mhm. College and career rating, and strategic planning.
And Brenda's got 2. I've got health.
And we meet. We meet.
I ain't trying to put you on nothing else, Brenda. It's okay over here.
Who,
Don't we, Julie?
I got district wellness. I got 3.
who is the
Sherry's got
committee chair
2.
for strategic planning committee?
Huh?
Who's the chair?
Who is the chair
Who
for
committee
that?
chair for strategic planning committee?
I don't know.
Don't know.
They didn't get back with me.
Was that at the high school or was it at?
I sent it to like all of our cabinet members and all principals and told them if they were involved in any of these to get back with me and answer these questions as like the length, term, all that, and I didn't hear from anyone.
Is there a committee, does anyone know if there
Planning
committee
committee,
exists?
we need to
That's
just
just-
kind of start, it probably needs to start from ground up again.
I was gonna say.
So you're gonna assign somebody are you gonna assign somebody to chair that?
I'll work with it, find somebody work with me from cabinet, but. we'll-
Okay, well, I've got 3 committees.
It's all you, Bill.
Brenda, we got problems. I've got 3 already, and we still don't have anybody else on finance with.
I'll do finance.
I said I would do finance.
Yeah, but you gotta have 2.
before.
I'm sorry, we have to have 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Let's
Just
do
join
it,
me.
man.
Okay.
Okay.
Join me.
That's so over here.
So that's what I'm saying. Brenda. But do you need Megan to switch with you on one of your others?
No, I've already been attending.
She's committed.
I've already committed.
She's committed to her committee.
I've already committed to my committees. Those happened quickly.
Yes.
Before you were assigned.
Before I was even assigned, I was going and attending.
Well, that's because you were overachiever.
Frank's gonna be a good student.
Let's just,
Yeah.
I never say no.
Nobody was attending that finance committee unless it was assigned.
You kicked off your 2 peaks that you had on there.
write my charter down.
I'll bring you a drink or something to make up for it.
They're short and sweet.
They
They really
Yeah,
are,
they
she's
are.
very
They really are, she's
organized.
very efficient.
Yes.
Okay, good.
It's just people don't like numbers.
I really don't, so
Sorry.
I'm not gonna try to get around that, but.
She does a good job getting us in and out of there in
Yeah.
an hour or less.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, again, I'm only on 1, do we have,
Twins, that's good.
okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm not like begging for more, but if we have to be on 2, then I'll sign up for another one, but if 1 is sufficient, I'll happily take it.
Me too.
Are we good?
I mean, we
I
have
don't know if there's any-
representation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're good, cause you've got 3, I've got 3. Sherry's on 2, Bill's on 2.
I'm on 3.
You're on 3, I'm on 3, yeah, we're on 3s.
It's all good.
What's your third one, Ashley? Council,
I'm on
council,
health and then
Oh, health. Oh,
council and district wellness committee,
Okay.
so. Alright. So that's good. We are on, does anybody need to pull anything off of the consent agenda items?
I just, I don't know if we want to pull it off, I just have a question on the credit cards.
Which number?
On the credit cards,
Oh,
and you answered a lot of those questions, Dave, so I appreciate that, Mr. Christie. But, I think we have like a $500,000 credit limit on credit card. Is that necessary? I mean,
That's just what has been extended to us from the bank. That's not assigned out for usage.
yeah, I guess my feeling is, should we ask them to reduce that? Or,
That is the board's request.
I mean, it's just,
Right now, what is on credit, because I can control, because if they're procurement cards, so, and the reason they're called that is because on the back end, they are managed by amounts per card, who uses them, things they can purchase. There's limits established with those, and so the credit limits that are assigned to each of the cards right now add up to roughly, the largest one is our Amazon card, but then all the other ones add up to like $51,000. So we're at $151,000 that is assigned to be used of that 500. So we can't even get to that 500,
Oh, okay.
500 unless I assign it to someone, which is
Each
the
card
whole
has
call
its limit.
out.
that makes sense, okay.
So, I mean, they have locked down limits on the cards, and there will be occasions that a large purchase may be approved. Some, we used the credit card for a few of the gym purchases, because they would not take POs from us to get those things. So, on occasion, we could increase it to make that purchase, but we take it back down after the purchase is made and it's paid. So, I mean, it's monitored on our side in finance.
Okay. And I know, and Mr. Christie explained to me today, like the purchases for Amazon are coming from teachers and,
Yes,
in
those are,
school.
every single thing you're seeing on those credit cards, a purchase order is issued prior to, they go through the normal process and invoice is submitted and we pay it. It's just the vendor is 2/5 third because they use the card versus the vendor taking a purchase order from us.
is there a way we can change the name of the, right now the cards are, assigned by a person, you know, the personal name, and it doesn't really truly represent, you know, those
Well, the way the
purchases, but.
statement comes out, the card itself has got the personal name because they must be issued to a person. But it
Okay.
has a second line on the card that has it's got Clark County Board of Education and the department.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I can start writing that. The statement's not gonna come with the name on it, because that's how they print their statements.
Okay.
I mean, I can start putting the department next to it so you can
And
see
nobody
that.
I
cares.
mean, I don't know if I
Not allowed
need
to
extra
carry
work,
it.
it's just, I didn't know if it, you know, when you look at it and you're not aware of, where those are coming from, it looks like one person
Right.
is purchasing all that, when it's truly not the case.
Right, and I will tell you, all of the cards that have directors' names on them, the admin here at central office, they are housed in our safe. They have to fill out a credit card request form, check out the card, we log it out to them, they make their purchase, they bring it back. Now, each principal has their card with them, but they signed a document when they took that card away from central office. There's a document that they signed, I signed, and Mr. Christie signed, of how they are to maintain that card, and it is to be kept in their safe, and they have card logs, you know, paper logs that their district is, at their school building, that they have to sign the card out as well. Same process, purchase order must be issued first, they bring the purchase order, they check the card out, they make the purchase, they take the card back to the secretary.
You
Goes
feel,
back in the safe.
okay. You feel comfortable with that process?
I do.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, that's, I'm just had a question on that.
Does anybody want to pull anything else off or discuss anything else? If not, would anybody like to make a motion for items number 12 through 28?
I'll make that motion to approve items 12 to 28 as written.
Motion by Mr. Tolby.
I second it.
Second by Ms. Considine. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item number 29, authorize payment of salaries and accounts payable. Make a motion to authorize payment of salaries and accounts payable.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Todd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. All right. Item number 30, adjourn to closed session for meetings with federal law, state law specifically required to be conducted in privacy per KRS 61.810. One subsection K, preliminary discussions of the superintendent's evaluation, method of evaluation.
Before we do that, can we take a 10-minute recess?
Yeah, I was just gonna put us in and then,
Oh, okay. That's
so,
fine.
if you'll make that motion.
Make a motion to go
Yeah.
to closed session? I'll make the motion to go.
I say.
Motion by Mr. Colby, second. Ms. Considine, all those in favor say aye.
I still
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
myself doing it all night.
What is that? I'm just.
Crazy.